In these notes, we will be practicing how to solve multi-step equations. For the first one, we're going to start with a word problem. We want to figure out how many years it will take for the tree to be 24 feet tall. And it tells us that the height is represented as 1.5x plus 15, where x is the number of years. So we just need to set our expression 1.5x plus 15, set it equal to 24 feet. From here, it's a two-step equation, which we've done before. So subtract 15 from both sides. And for the next step, we'll get 1.5x equals 9. And then to undo 1.5 times x, the inverse operation would be dividing by 1.5 on each side. So the left-hand side is just 1x, and then on the right-hand side, we're just dividing 9 by 1.5. So 9 would go inside the division box, 1.5 on the outside. If you're dividing by a decimal, remember, multiply by 10. And so that's the same math problem as 90 divided by 15. And 15 goes into 90 exactly 6 times. So 9 divided by 1.5 is 6. This is a word problem. X represents years, so we'll include units. It is going to take 6 years. All right, next one, we need to combine like terms before we start solving anything else. So the like terms on the left-hand side are 8x and negative 6x. So 8x minus 6x is 2x, and then we can keep everything else the same for right now. Minus 25 equals negative 35. All right, two-step equation. Next, add 25 to both sides. There's your zero pairs. So we'll get 2x equals negative 10. And then lastly, divide both sides by 2. So x is equal to negative 5. All right, next one, we have parentheses with a number in front. This really means 2 times the quantity of 1 minus 5x, and so we need to use the distributive property. So first, I'm going to distribute the 2 and do 2 groups of 1 is 2. 2 groups of negative 5x is negative 10x. So I'm really just multiplying those together to get that expression. And then we'll bring down plus 4 equals negative 8. Okay, just like before, combine like terms before we solve. So positive 2 plus 4 is 6. That's a positive 6, so I'll put the plus sign in front. Negative 10x is just going to stay negative 10x, and then we still just have equals negative 8. So two-step equation that we have now says negative 10x plus 6 equals negative 8. All right, to undo the adding 6, we need to subtract 6 from both sides. So we'll have negative 10x equals negative 14. And then we're going to divide by negative 10 on both sides. So we'll end up with x equals positive 1 and 4/10. All right, these ones, just a little bit more practice with solving equations. Number 1 is a two-step equation, so we'll start by subtracting 1 from both sides. So negative 3z is equal to 6. Divide by negative 3, and z equals negative 2. Second one, begin by adding 9 to both sides. So we have 1/2 x is equal to negative 16. And then to undo the 1/2 as your coefficient, you can either divide by 1/2 on both sides, or you can multiply by the reciprocal, which would be 2 or 2 over 1. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. So this right here, 2 times a half is just 1, so we get 1x, and then negative 16 times 2 is negative 32. All right, third one, we need to combine negative 4n and negative 8n. Together, that's negative 12n, and then plus 17 equals 23. Next, we'll subtract 17 from both sides. So negative 12n equals 6. Finally, divide by negative 12. And so n is equal to negative 6/12, or if you simplify it, negative 1/2. All right, continuing on, both of these need to use distribution. So for number 4, we will distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. Really be careful when you're distributing a negative so that you make sure you get the right sign. So negative 3x minus 6 plus 5x equals negative 9. All right, combine negative 3x with positive 5x to get 2x. And then you still have minus 6 equals negative 9. Okay, now add 6 to both sides. So 2x equals negative 3. And then last step, divide by 2. So x is equal to negative 3 halves, which is the same as negative 1 and 1/2. All right, next one. 1.5 times 2d would be 3d. 1.5 times negative 1 would be negative 1.5. And then I'll keep everything else the same. So I still have 5 plus and equals 0.5. Okay, we can combine the constant terms. So positive 5 plus negative 1.5 would be 3.5. And then I still have plus 3d equals 0.5. Okay, from here it's just a two-step equation. So subtract 3.5 on both sides. That's your 0 pair. 3d. Positive 0.5 plus negative 3.5 is going to be negative 3 or negative 3.0. Divide by 3, and d is equal to negative 1. All right, now that we've done several examples with just straight solving equations, we're going to do a couple with geometry. So it says the height of the house is 26 feet. So this entire thing is 26 feet. Always feel free to label whatever you need to on diagrams. And then it says, what is the height x of each story? So we're just going to add up 6 plus x and set it equal to 26. 6 plus x equals 26. Okay, combine like terms. X plus x is 2x. Subtract your constant from both sides. So 2x equals 20. And then when you divide by 2, x equals 10. Since this is a geometry problem, we've got some context. We want to make sure we include units. And then it asks for the height of each story. So this one, they told us was 6 feet. This one is 10 feet. And this one is also 10 feet. All right, next one. This is actually pretty similar to one of your test questions for this unit. It says the area is 24 square inches. So this is a rectangle, and the area of a rectangle is just base times height. So I'm going to multiply my height times my base. Also, it tells me the area, so I can substitute 24 in place of A. So 24 is equal to the base. The base is 3 plus B. And since that's all the base, I'm going to leave that in parentheses. And then I need to multiply that by the height, which is 4. Okay, from here, we still are distributing. We're just kind of distributing backwards. We're doing 4 groups of 3 plus B. If it helps, this will make it look kind of like the ones from before. If it helps, you can flip-flop that and do 4 times 3 plus B. When you're multiplying 2 values, you're allowed to reverse the order like that. All right, we'll go ahead and distribute. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times B is positive 4B, and then we still have equals 24. Okay, subtract your constant of 12 from each side. So 12 equals 4B, and then you'll divide by 4 on each side, divide by your coefficient. So 3 is equal to B. Again, this is a word problem, so we're going to need units on that. This is going to be inches. All right, so we have 3 inches right here. Let's do one quick check just to make sure it works. So this length is now going to be 6 inches, because 3 plus 3 is 6. This length is still 4, and 6 times 4 is 24, which is what they told us it should be. All right, final problem for the video. It says surface area is 160 square centimeters. Find the width, and they have width labeled as W. The very first thing that we need is the formula for surface area. So if you remember from before, surface area is equal to 2 times length times width plus 2 times width times height plus 2 times height times length. Be sure you have that formula written down so that when you get to problems like this, you know what to start with. Okay, surface area, they gave us that, 160 square centimeters. So in place of surface area, I'm going to substitute 160. On my picture, I'm going to label 10 centimeters as the length and 5 centimeters as the height. So now I just need to substitute in 5 anytime I see an H and 10 anytime I see a length. So I've got 10 and 10 for my 2 lengths. I have 5 and 5 for the 2 heights, and then everything else I'm just going to drop down. So I had a 2 times 10 times W plus 2 times, actually ran out of room here, W times height plus 2 times 5 times 10. So again, just substituting the things that I know, bringing the things I don't know just straight down. Okay, let's combine stuff that can be combined. This expression can be simplified, this expression can be simplified, and so can this one. So 2 times 10 times W is 20W. 2 times W times 5 is 10W. And then 2 times 5 times 10 is 100. Okay, left-hand side still equal to 160. All right, continue combining. So we can add 20W plus 10W to get 30W. Still have plus 100, still have equals 160. Okay, subtract 100 from both sides. Get rid of your constant term. So 30W equals 60. And then lastly, divide by your coefficient, which is 30. And 60 divided by 30 is 2. Again, this is a geometry problem, so this is 2 centimeters. So we'll just make sure that we include centimeters with your answer. All right, hopefully that helps you with solving multi-step equations.